It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we usher in a Friday. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing good. Here we are to Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, what a day it was yesterday again. Every single day it's like, wow. Hey, how are you clowns doing up there in the Bronx?
Yeah, bunch of clowns.
Bunch of clowns, you.
Yeah, stupid American voter clown.
You bunch of clowns.
I think she's a rising star in the party.
We're talking about Governor Hochul. We're actually not calling you clowns.
We're not. We will later, though. I mean, give us a minute. It's Friday, so we probably will get there. But no, we're not doing that right now. Yeah, it's a bunch of clowns, bunch of morons. What? The microphone's on? I would like to issue a statement to say that I didn't mean that anyone was a moron or a clown. By the way, what kind of clown? Scary clown or fun clown? There's a difference.
I'm afraid of clowns.
Heard Jeff Foxworthy talking about a joke his daughter, the only joke he thinks his daughter's ever written, and when she was young, Daddy, here's my joke. If you were a police officer and you pull over a car with a clown in it, you better be careful because you don't know how many clowns might be in the car. He said he tried to use that joke on stage and it failed every time. He said, but he thought it was hilarious. I think, listen, we all know, tomorrow's going to have to walk it back. Listen, we all know that New York clowns are the best clowns in the world.
I'm telling you, it was. What I found interesting yesterday was if you were paying attention to the news, and it would be interesting to find out, and I don't know how you poll it, but how I have a feeling that our listeners probably, if they have the time, sort of follow the news like we do during the day. Yeah. Which would be, you're on social media,
right.
Probably on 20 different sites, and you're just going through the feed. Okay, this over here, this over here, this over here.
They probably have their own. We have our own systems in setting up our own process and set up for show prep to a lot of it to feed directly to us. And I'm guessing a number of our audience kind of does the same on news alerts and things. They have a process of getting those big stories because they are concerned about things, and that's just naturally how it works. They want to be informed.
And so when I was looking yesterday at it, let me just play this quick audio here. This was Biden. This is Biden yesterday. Here we go.
Whoa!
When he did the whoa, like he was shocked, like it was and that's a normal thing where reporters will ask the questions. I think it was John Roberts on Fox also that talked about the fact that they only took like 2 questions each. And when one of the reporters wanted to follow up, they, couldn't do it. And it was obvious that he was reading the answers.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading a New York Post article that said that, that basically Biden has, that the one reporter, the McClatchy reporter apparently that asked the question, one of the questions, that he looked down and was reading the answer, that it wasn't that Biden knew what the question was going to be, but that he had the notes of the possible, 3 or 4 questions that they would allow. Because there is, and it was John Roberts on Fox News. I just want to play what they were talking about after the press conference, because when you look at that, what was going on, and it was horrible. I mean, it was absolutely horrible for Biden. And then you juxtapose that with what's going on with the Bronx with Trump. It is really, really, really a universe apart. It is. It's just, when just the coverage of it, the excitement of it. Then when they go to Biden, it's like it's got to be really depressing if you're a Democrat to watch what's going on right now.
Yeah,
because Biden looks so bad. Here's what John Roberts said on Fox News yesterday.
I covered Clinton, I covered Bush 43, and I covered Trump, and I never ever saw them using notes in a situation like this. And I was in Singapore with Trump when he had his first meeting with Kim Jong-un. He went for an hour answering every question that anybody put to him, never once glanced down at the lectern. He was just like off the top of his head.
And the questions were not on topic.
No.
Yeah, the questions weren't even on topic when he was with Kim Jong-un. They were asking everything in the world. And we know because we were up at that time when that was going on.
We remember that because we talk about how, there were a couple of things that most people didn't see, and that is when he won, the night he won in 2016. And, not everybody was there to see it, including Hillary, because she had gone home. And then the North Korean summit. And Trump was talking, by the way, to the international media. And he never flinched. One thing we said about Trump and the media is sometimes to a fault. He would answer every question. And, every once in a while we were like, okay, you don't have to sit there all day. But he is not afraid to answer questions in the media. It is a very stark contrast from this current president where you see clearly that it's not just Biden that really wants to avoid the media. Biden's arrogance believes, in his mind, he believes those journalists are stupid. They can't get it right. Nobody can get it right in Joe Biden's mind, but Joe Biden, and maybe Corn Pop. And then beyond that, he's being handled by everybody and saying, he needs to come out the other door at the White House. He needs to do this. He needs to go on many vacations every weekend and be away from the media. They're keeping him from the media. Look, Biden would love to get out there and ramble. He would love to not take questions, but get out there and ramble and just tell you how great he is. There's no doubt. And then go on one of his long stories that will turn out to be completely false about how, he used to play for the Oakland Raiders and all of that.
I haven't heard that one, but it's
wait for it.
But it's probably coming.
It's only Friday.
What I look at, I take yesterday, and I have said this since Trump agreed to the debates, that if I was his political consultant, I would say, what you're doing, you have an opportunity to absolutely destroy Joe Biden, and you can promote the debates in a fair way.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I don't know why, Trump keeps conceding to the Democrats on everything on the debates, to the point of now where he said the other day, they don't want to stand. They want to have Joe Biden sit down. I'd rather stand, but I'll agree to anything that they want because I wish to debate him. And my point is, no, you have the ability to go to the American public. When Biden came out and said this, you go, no, I want. Now, I don't think the audience is going to be, whether there's an audience there is going to be a big thing, because we've talked about what would be worse for Biden, whether there's a crowd there that distracts him. But you saw yesterday, he was just staring. And what happens after every press conference is they'll, and that was so short, and the reporters really can't ask questions of him. Mm-hmm. They get all excited, and he's just standing there staring into space, and all of a sudden, he gets distracted. Your whole goal, the goal of a debate. Now, this is political consultant, not the mainstream media. Well, people will learn a lot. We already know what the candidates stand for. We already know. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of Americans know, who they're going to vote for. It's about getting the political edge. That's all it's about, the debate. Trump should have said, the crowd, go either way on that one. But he should have said, nope, I want, if we're going to do it, I want, you can have it, but you need to have somebody that Biden approves of as a moderator, and then somebody that I approve of. Now, I'll either go for that where there's one that they approve of, one that I approve of, or they can have it on ABC, and I want one on Fox or Newsmax or whatever that will be broadcast on a variety of different networks that they can pick it up. But I'm not going to give them the ability to have 2 against 1. Most Americans would look at that and go, that's absolutely fair. I'll debate you, but there's got to be rules and regulations. And then when he came out last week and said, I want him drug tested. I want him drug tested. Well, don't say that unless you actually mean it, because now that's gone by the wayside. And now Trump's like, well, it's going to be a sit down where we sit at a table. Trump should have come out and said, I want, if they get an anchor that they want, I want an anchor that I want, or one's done on ABC, the next one's done on Fox. And I want no notes, no notes, no teleprompter. We stand and we do it. The goal is to destroy Biden politically ASAP. And for some god awful reason, this is where you sit there and you go, I just made me angrier when I saw the majority of Trump's speech yesterday, which I went, God, he's right. He's just doing everything right now. He was talking about opportunity. Biden's out there and he's angry. And when he did the speech at was it Morehouse College? He was just angry. He's angry and bitter. And Trump was out there promoting opportunity for everybody and how we're going to reverse what happened. He's doing so good. And the debate, which everybody focuses on, he's just basically, in my opinion, saying, okay, just let the left dominate and get everything that they want to make Biden look better. And I'm not going to object to it when I could object to it and the American public would agree with me on it. Mm-hmm. Because the American public, no, that's fair. That's fair. Anything that Trump would want is fair. And for Trump to say, no, we're not going to sit down. The American public needs to know that we have the ability to stand up and debate. Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to win that. And I have no idea why he's doing this. It doesn't make any political
sense
at all.
It could be a number of things after, the trials and everything else and being in the courtroom for all this time. Is it to the point where he doesn't fear anything? If everything's been thrown at you, he doesn't fear anything. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, but it's clear he doesn't fear anybody in the media. Now, the question will be is, can you get that done on a debate stage? Does he or his campaign or the GOP or all the above believe that none of it's an issue because the contrast is going to be clear on the debate stage, regardless of how it goes down?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, again,
I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it. Because, I'm just throwing out possibilities.
Well, I go with the Eric Harley rule. You always run as if you're 20 points behind.
Yeah, but if they don't fear him at all and they believe, look, we just get on the stage and it's going to be a contrast and Biden's going to fall apart, then
when you give the ability of the people that are the moderators in the debate to form the questions, and everyone is going to be premised against you because we've seen it already. Mm-hmm. You never agree to that. But if you agree to that, then you agree that Fox News can act it. Fox News can also do it, or Newsmax, or whatever can do the debate. You never, you don't sit there and just say, well, we're going to win no matter what, so give them whatever they want.
Here's a question I had in my mind the other day is, do they believe, listen, accommodate everything you can with Biden because he's eventually going to, the Biden campaign actually doesn't want to debate you. Do they have information that because Biden's setting all these rules at first looked like that they were trying to set him up to where they knew that Trump wouldn't agree to that. And if Trump is saying, we'll agree to anything, if his campaign says to him, look, we have good information that says Biden's not going to get on that stage with you. He doesn't want to get on that stage with you. So agree to whatever they want and see if he actually does get on that stage with you. I don't know. I'm just throwing out possibilities.
I think a negotiation to what the majority of Americans would view as being fair, which would be we stand up, we do it, you get yours, you get mine. I think you sell that. I'll debate you anytime, but it needs to be fair where the moderators, that every moderator isn't a liberal. Mm-hmm. The majority of it, now Democrats, you're not trying to get Democrats. The only people you're trying to get are independents, because you've got your base and then you've got your opposition. It's the people in the middle. It's the people in the Bronx right there that were out there that said, we're Democrat and we're coming towards, him. We wish to vote for Trump. That's where you come out and that's who your target is at that point. And you're just saying, we want to make this fair. You at least do it. And then if they don't agree to it and won't do it, go, all right, I will do it. But at least you attempt to make it, you make it so you have the best possible scenario to destroy him, and you do it immediately. My goal is you dominate anything that you're in. The negotiations, people really won't care about. It's what happens at the debate. And he had the ability to negotiate. Then again, don't come out then and say, well, he needs to take a drug test and imply that if he doesn't take a drug test, you're not going to debate, and then just let that go away. That's my problem. That's another one of my problems. Don't say you're going to put standards on, then back off. Mm-hmm. And this is what I would tell him as a political consultant. You don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. Because the goal is to destroy your political opponent every opportunity you get. And I mean completely dominate and obliterate him. I have no problem. I'd agree with the microphones being turned off. But I'd also say once the question is asked by the moderator, they can't interrupt. Mm-hmm. And let the public decide whether the answer is right or not. I think there's a great opportunity, especially when Republicans have been burned so many times. I mean, the thing is, when they talk about the committee, the presidential debate committee, well, my God, you've actually done worse than they would have done. 866-90-RED-I.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. When it comes to truck maintenance, sometimes it's the little things that can cause the most trouble, like cabin air filters. When properly serviced, cabin air filters provide a barrier between pollutants and harmful particles outside and your HVAC system. If you don't pay attention to them, however, this small part can turn into big trouble in no time. Breathe easy when you know which warning signs could indicate that your cabin air filters are clogged. A dirty, musty smell throughout the entire cab may indicate your cabin air filters are oversaturated and need to be replaced.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, update here. Trump, during the rally yesterday, said he doesn't want to sit at the table. And so he's not going to agree to that after he agreed to it on Wednesday. On Wednesday, during a radio interview, he said he agreed to sit at the table with Biden, despite a strong preference to stand. Good. I'm glad he did that. I hear we're now sitting at, this is what he said Wednesday, I hear we're sitting at tables. I don't want to sit at a table. He said at a radio interview, I said, no, let's stand, but they want to sit at a table, so we'll be sitting at a table as opposed to doing it the way you should be, in my opinion, in a debate. And then at the rally yesterday, I must have missed that because I caught the majority of it. He said, today they said actually it was yesterday, we'd like to set up tables so you sit down. I said, I don't want to sit down for the debate. Let's go. So we're not sitting down. We're going to be standing up for the debate. So they contacted the Colorado Gazette, contacted the Biden campaign. They did not respond to a request for comment on it. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
But everything else that he has agreed to, I would disagree with.
Yeah.
But I'm glad at least he backed off on that one. Mm. You made a great point, though. He should agree to say, okay, I agree to sit, and then he stands
up. And then say, hey,
Biden
if you don't
sits.
mind, I'm going to stand up.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Create that contrast.
That would have been a good one.
I'd love that.
On our website, redeyeradioshow.com. Show info with stations, podcasts, and more. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Well, I'm glad that the former president, Trump, that he changed his mind, and now he has said he will not sit. He will not agree to sitting. That's good.
Yeah. You know the great thing about that huge crowd in South Bronx, since they're all clowns, they all came in one vehicle.
I don't get the joke.
You don't know the old joke about clowns, all the clowns crowd into one car and then the clowns getting out one by one out of the car. You've never seen that before?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you're a lot older than I am.
Yeah,
You've never seen that?
No, I was trying to figure out. I was scanning, going.
It's one of the comedy classics. I mean, it's a comedy.
Really?
That's shocking.
I know the kids in the Volkswagen, and
No,
back in
it's
the
an
60s.
old running joke.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's
all right.
It's a standard in comedy. In fact,
I'm not hip.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say you don't have to be hip. You have to be old, but apparently not.
Well, I wasn't hip. I wasn't hip back then.
We're not hip to clowns. Do you have a fear of clowns? A lot of people have a fear of clowns.
Well, Kramer did.
Yeah.
Did you see the story where he had prostate cancer?
And
it came out yesterday. And if he hadn't, he would have been dead in 8 months if he had his entire prostate removed. And so he's doing okay now. But that was Michael Richards, not Kramer. I want to make sure.
Right. There's no storyline ever that would.
Right. Was you talking about the character, Gary, or the actual actor?
Yeah.
The actor Michael Richards. So that's good. But now still though, for Trump, I still think he should be tougher. I'm glad that he backed off on the sitting down, but I still think he should say, look, we need to have, and he did it, said he wanted more debate. He was up to 4 debates, and the Biden administration just ignored him completely. He should pound that more, and he should pound that he wants more debates, and Biden's afraid to do it, and we should also have conservative news networks. If you're going to have liberal news networks, you need conservative news networks. That's what's fair, and he should pound it whether he gets it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hopefully he has, I think what happened was he heard us on Red Eye yesterday when we saw the story that he did the radio interview saying he had agreed to sit, and we told him it was the wrong thing to do. Maybe that's why he changed it today.
We're the most influential talk show of all time. It's clear. It's clear.
Oh,
I honestly think that the Biden team does want to cancel. They want to find any excuse to cancel. I still don't know that. I don't know where I put it. I don't know if it's 50-50. It may be more than 50-50 on the chances that there's actually going to be a debate. Because if you look at where Biden is mentally, everyone around him knows this. We talk about it. We observe it from the outside. If you're observing this from the inside, it's worse.
No,
and we know this.
No, I think you're right because they know. They see him all the time.
For anyone who has had anyone close to you with cognitive issues, your neighbors or extended family may not see, in fact, likely don't see the worst of it. And if there's something going on with this president and his cognitive issues, and it seems there is, then those closest to him, including his staff and his campaign and his wife, the first lady, see the worst of it. And if it were me, the last thing I would want to do is put him on a debate stage. I would want to find any political excuse to keep him off that stage. But we'll see.
Well, I think that's part of the desperation that they have right now. I'm really interested to see that if what I want to see are the polls that actually mirror where the population actually is, which means I want to see a poll that isn't 36% Democrat, 33% Republican, and 27%, whatever it would be, 27 independent, and then whatever's left, something else. I want to see likely voter polls that show 40% independent, because that's what America claims they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Democrats and Republicans basically even at that point. At 30-30, I haven't seen a poll that has done it that way. I think you may get closer to what Trump's lead actually is, and that's been part of the debate that's going on. Is Trump actually doing better? Because you can manipulate polls any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will be interesting to see. I will say this. I mean, yesterday, when you're paying attention, scanning the internet and watching TV, and you see the rally going on in the Bronx, and you see the people that are there, average New York City people. And I'm reading here, where was this from? Is this CNN? At the Trump rally in the Bronx, chants of build the wall. Oh, my God. It goes, speaking to a more diverse crowd than his events usually draw.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw another headline that says he's trying to pander to minorities. And I thought to myself, he's talking to New York is what he's doing.
And you saw that. Then you saw Biden's press conference, which was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, what was going on at UCLA. The encampment again and the police back and forth. And you sit there and you look at it. I'm like, wow, this is the insanity of the left. And then you see what's going on in the Bronx. Not a good day for Biden yesterday. Great day for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very good day for him, because there's nothing like. Oh, and by the way, you see CNN lowest ratings in 33 years.
When we said it wasn't, what was it? Not long ago, we said, my gosh, how much lower could it go? Well,
but
go apparently a lot lower.
But you know why? Because you actually have some of those anchors. I think part of the problem is some of the anchors are actually sort of like Bill Maher now, going, well, the left is just going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at what, the analysis, for example, on the Trump trial, where you've got their legal experts saying there's nothing there. Liberals don't want to hear that, and conservatives aren't going to watch CNN.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, yeah, but MSNBC is doing better. Yeah, because Lawrence O'Donnell is on there saying, yeah, I believe it's okay to steal from Trump.
Yeah.
The left is delusional, so MSNBC is going to do better. CNN, that's always been viewed as liberals, the liberals don't want to hear that there's no case against Trump, that it's a bogus case and a bogus judge and a bogus prosecutor. They want to hear the delusional Lawrence O'Donnell. Well, it's justifiable that Cohen stole from Trump because he felt he should have gotten more of a bonus. I mean, that's where MSNBC is now. Stealing is okay as long as it's from Trump.
Yeah.
To justify their spin on a case. And that's the problem with CNN. You actually got anchors that went, all right, we're still liberal, but these people are insane. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't have that. If you're not insane, liberals aren't going to watch.
Well, there a couple of the mistakes they probably made is that they're not flying the Hamas flag at CNN, and they're not going after Netanyahu enough. I do wonder with those low ratings, because who was left on the left that was watching CNN before the ratings dropped even further? It's the diehard left. And is it that, like you said, you're spelling out basically that they're just not radical enough.
Right.
And you've got Scarborough. Man, he was on it the other day. What was he talking about? Was it the economy or something? And his it's virtue signaling, gaslighting at the same time, and going after people for, well, if you don't know, let me tell you about it. Shut up, Joe. Shut up. Why don't you just let your wife do the talking because you don't need to do the talking for her. She can talk on her own. by the way. I actually don't believe, because I was thinking about that the other day, because there's so many great lines about that, how Mika's just, basically writing the script for him. No, it's Scarborough has just become another radical. That's who he is. And maybe that's who he's always been. For his for the seat now held by Matt Gaetz there in Florida that Scarborough used to hold, for those people, anybody who ever voted for him, he was a fake. You can't convince me Scarborough was ever even close to a conservative. And so, it's been this way for a while, where we're seeing all these never Trumpers that are just liberal. I mean, they're you can't make the case otherwise. I get it when conservatives or people on the right say, I disagree with Trump on most things, or the way he handles things, or blah, 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 blah. But that, I don't know that I put them so far in the never Trumper category necessarily, like Bill Kristol, like Scarborough, like all these people that have just lost their mind and clearly have always been liberal because of the way they talk on other things. On the issues, they're talking liberal. They don't even try and hide it anymore. They don't even try and make the point or make the case for being a conservative anymore. So, that's who they really are. And I don't know what you do at CNN. Remember when John Malone, who is in charge, but he's one of the biggest executives on the whole Discovery team that bought CNN, and said early on, I think they need to go back to doing news. And we said, people are okay with seeing opinionated shows. Just put on opinion and then say this is opinion. But the problem with the left in doing that, it fails miserably. We saw it happen with Air America. We see it happen. They don't have huge ratings. MSNBC has them because all the liberals have gone over there. They've got a concentrated audience of liberals now. They've all gone there because at MSNBC, they're radical. I mean, look at them. Look at the entire lineup. It's radicals.
Yeah.
And so, your problem, if you're going to put on all opinions over at CNN, if you're going to do that, then you're going to have to find some pretty radical people. More radical than, it's hard to believe, but more radical than the liberals that are already at CNN.
But media-wise, it's expected because the party itself is the national party itself, which is, the members of Congress on the Democrat side, they're all radical. And when you get into the Beltway, when you get into the, New York, Washington Beltway, you have the most radical media members on the left to begin with. So the party is so radical. So, of course, there's going to be a network or a media outlet that mirrors what the actual party is. And as we've stated before, though, understand that the radicals, there is a huge number of voters that are radicals. Fani Willis won with 83% of the vote for her primary. Now, I don't know what the prediction is for the election now, whether there's polls on that right now, but she's as radical as you could possibly ever imagine. And Democrats view her as a martyr. It doesn't matter whether they're following the law or not. It's just get Trump. By the way, you want the evidence that Comey was the rot in, we talked about this, James Comey making the rounds again. And that's where he said, Bragg's got a much better case than I thought. He's so full of manure.
Yeah.
He really is.
That's garbage.
866-90-RED-I.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know what I find interesting, and we'll talk about this more following the top of the hour, how the media is pounding Karine Jean-Pierre on the whole college loan thing. We'll have another audio cut coming up. And I was telling you, I wonder, because the media is now putting the Biden administration on the defensive more than I've ever seen it. Yeah. And asking Biden questions, yeah, but Trump this. I'm really wondering if, liberalism, which normally used to look at, those in poverty and lower economic classes, are looking at the Biden administration and they finally come to the realization they're bailing out the elite at the expense of the poor.
Right.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Well, long Memorial Day weekend coming up here. Everybody taking a break until next week, when then everything hits the fan again.
Well, the Trump case back on Tuesday, and so who knows how that's going to go. I'm guessing we're going to learn the judge decision on Tuesday morning, but I don't know. Because there's nothing else to do but either send it to a jury or shut it down and say, sorry, Bragg, you didn't make your case.
Oh yeah, you're at that point now.
There's nothing else that takes precedence over that. It's still bizarre that the judge paused it for an entire week like this, or 6 days, whatever it was, and that to me didn't make any sense at all. But is it indicative of the judge being in a place where he really doesn't know what to do, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to need about a week to think about this. Because here's the thing. There are people that are aware of the case but don't know the details of the case. If you send it to a jury and it comes back guilty, that will make global news. Everybody will be fully aware that happened. And if Mershon is worried about making Trump a martyr, if he's worried about that, that's a big if. I'm not convinced he is worried about that. But if he is, then you don't do that. You don't allow that to happen. You're hoping that, I'll just tell Bragg he didn't make the case. We'll dismiss the case. And then you hope that it just goes away. You hope that people just forget about it and don't pay much attention to the trial, even though Trump is going to claim victory, which he should, if that happens. It doesn't make him a martyr in the way that it would if a jury comes back and finds him guilty. I don't know that the jury's going to come. I don't know that they're not going to have a hung jury. I don't know. I mean, now with the turnout in the South Bronx, that's a little bit of hope. I'm not fully convinced. In fact, I would bet that it wouldn't come back as a hung jury, but I could be wrong. There could be one or two that look at that and say, yeah, I may not like the guy, but you can't do this. This isn't the case.
We had said yesterday, you look at the contrast going through the day yesterday of, the Trump rally and how the media covered that, then the protest at UCLA, and then the Biden press conference with the president from Kenya. And I just went, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, I just happened to be going through X, Twitter, Byron York. In terms of energy, the contrast between this performance at the White House today and Trump's appearance in the Bronx tonight is really striking. Biden appeared to read from prepared text for most of his answers at the joint news conference with the president of Kenya today, then kind of an odd ending where he went, whoa, and just stared.
Yeah.
I mean, just, whoa, like he was taken back or something. And then Karine Jean-Pierre, that's it. Everybody get out.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. The contrast was unbelievable. And did I save it here? I've been scanning through so much. Here it is, because I've just noticed that the press has been pounding the White House on the college loan, quote, forgiveness, end of quote, because it's not forgiveness, it's the transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And this question was Fox Business News' Grady Trimble. Here you go. Here's his question being asked.
I just wanted to follow up on the student loan debt forgiveness. Yeah. In the announcement, the Undersecretary of Education said, "We congratulate those borrowers on their due forgiveness." I'm just wondering why people who take out a loan to go to school, then go to school, why are they due forgiveness?
Everybody has a different story as to why they need student loans. Everybody has a different reasoning as to why they want to go to college. I cannot speak for everyone.
Well, why is forgiveness due to them?
What we have been very clear about is the system, the student loan system needs to be fixed. The president is trying to do that and fix it in a way where people are not feeling that crushing financial burden that they deal with when they leave college. And that is something that...
And when he goes, and? Because he's trying to get an answer. Why are they due forgiveness?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's making the point, you agree to a contract to get money, to get a service. Why are you due forgiveness? And it's really not forgiveness, it's the transfer of wealth. And I really, you look at, I think one of the most amazing things that really isn't talked about enough, and I think history will look at it and go, wow, what a radical movement it is, or was, where, and I'm saying you're looking at this from history 50, 100 years from now, is how the Democratic Party went from the party of the working person to the party of the delusional elite. Because that's where they've gone. That's the whole thing and the symbolism based on the substance of that shift was seen yesterday in the Bronx with Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's just, that was Fox Business News, but you had other reporters. NBC, it was Pete Alexander the other day asking the same thing about college loans. And I've just noticed over the last couple of months that it seems like when the questions are being asked, it's on the defensive. The premise isn't, oh, the college loan thing is so wonderful, so what? It's almost as if, and this is what I wonder, are the traditional liberals that used to be about helping the poor, recognizing that what liberalism has become is a transfer of wealth, or what it's becoming is a transfer of wealth from the poor to the elite. And part of it is the fact of what you see on college campuses, that the Biden administration and the insane left wishes to fund the radicalism of the liberal elite in college campuses with taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Because that question is asked, she can't answer the question, she just ignores the question. If they're due $35,000, why aren't other people who made other choices, why aren't they getting $35,000? And to sit there and say everybody's being crushed, and it was Alexander that asked yesterday, literally being crushed. He goes, literally? Well, financially. I mean, that was actually hilarious. You would never hear that. And I really wonder if the liberal media, number one, they never got the talking points that they needed from this administration to promote what they believed. And now when you look at EVs, you brought it up yesterday that, the infrastructure act. If you buy solar panels worth $25,000, you'll get $4,000 off. See how we're helping people out there.
Yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act, when they put that across with all those
that's right,
incentives,
right.
and it's like, listen, all you have to do is go out and spend $200,000 on a solar panel, and you'll be saving so much money.
Right. And it's just viewed as who the hell are you talking to? Who's going to put what person right now is going to put $25,000 solar panels on their roof in order to save $5,000? It's not the poor or the middle class. They're not doing it. And so everything is a transfer, and the perfect example of it. And I think with the college protests going on, the riots, protest, whatever, of the insanity of the anti-Semitism and the pro-terrorist movement that exists on college campuses today, even the media is looking at this going, my God, we've got people complaining, average people saying, why the hell do they get their college loan paid off for? You look at it, you've got the reporters now sounding like Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
Because Mike Rowe said that. He goes, well, why does the guy or gal who's in a construction company and buys a $60,000 pickup truck in order to get their business going, their small business going, why aren't they due $35,000? Right. Why is it only somebody who's, the college, the elite who are going to have much better lives? Well, some of the curriculum that they're taking, they're not. But for so many, they're going to make more money. So you're putting their college loan on the burden is going on people that don't have a college loan and make fewer dollars. Why are they responsible for it? It's what we brought up from the very beginning. The Biden administration is saying this is how morality goes. Their good morality is you take out a loan because you wish to get a service for it, but you don't wish to pay off the loan. You wish somebody who did not take off the loan, who's not getting the benefit of what you got out of the loan, that they must pay for your college, because there is no forgiveness, there is no cancellation, there is no write-off.
Yeah.
This has to be paid off by someone who's paying it off and not receiving a benefit, those that don't have a college education.
Well,
why is that a moral way to go? And they can't defend it.
No, they can't, and you're right. And you said, I think it was in the top of the hour, previewing the audio, and you said, look, I think the liberals are looking at this saying that the Biden administration is doing all these things to favor the elites, and of course they are. And on top of that, I think what really highlights it right now and makes it more top of mind is the fact that you see personal credit card debt at an all-time high. So you have a number of people that are out there that don't have college loans, but their personal credit card debt as a result of inflation is at an all-time high. And they're saying, you're giving these elites money to pay off their college loan. So they're basically getting a huge chunk of their college paid for by the taxpayer, and I'm struggling to pay my credit card debt.
Yep.
We can have the conversation about getting into that debt and the choices made and everything else, but we're talking about the political perception and reality, and that is people struggling right now while they watch this administration bail out the elites.
One thing I also noticed, people that were being interviewed said, what we want is opportunity. I heard that more.
Yeah.
Even on CNN, they weren't saying we want a handout. We want to,
just give us a chance. Give us a fighting chance.
When Trump was there, as we know, employment for blacks and Hispanics went way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to like record levels.
Right.
And it was like, that's what we want. We want opportunity. Great message to sell the American public right now.
Right.
Because as we now know, spending creates the inflation.
Yeah, that's it.
Government spending creates the inflation. And so I just think that that's one thing. I know it's been talked about, but when you look back at history, how quickly the change went of the Democratic Party being the party. I can remember growing up, my uncles who were more Democrat. Well, Republicans are for the rich, Democrats are for the working guy. It's completely reversed, but now it's the rich elite insane.
Yeah.
Because what they believe and what they're promoting is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I wonder if reporters are now picking up on that. That's a problem for the Democrats right now. They're actually being challenged on these things.
Yeah, they are. Because reality is issuing that challenge.
Yep. And then the other thing that's out there, well, Biden is doing this. The real reason he's doing this is not because they're crushed. He's trying to buy their vote.
Yeah.
And people don't like that at all.
No.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Surviving and thriving as an owner-operator has just as much to do with managing costs as it does with generating revenue. Like the chief financial officer of any company, you have to be concerned about rising costs, especially without increases in revenue. Trying to reduce costs, let alone make sense of them, can be a complicated task. Understanding basic principles of operating costs can save you thousands of dollars a year. A penny saved could be $1,000 earned. Saving just 1 penny per mile over 100,000 miles driven annually will deliver $1,000 to the bottom line at the end of the year. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up, we have some audio we'll be playing from some of the college presidents in front of Congress yesterday, dealing with antisemitism. By the way, the whole thing of the German government's vow to arrest Netanyahu, the United States should have immediately responded, you take that back now or you lose every bit of foreign aid that we give you.
Yep.
Everything's gone.
Yep.
This is no time to be fooling around.
No, it isn't.
You support something like the ICC, which is as radical as any terrorist group out there. You say, fine, you do what you want. Your foreign aid's gone. Your diplomats gone.
Yep.
Leave the United States now.
Yep.
You side with the terrorist. Sorry, you're done. We're done with you. But of course, this coward of a president would never do anything like that because he's an anti-Semite himself.
He's supporting the terrorists by helping Iran fund them.
Yep.
And giving aid directly to them with the new port they put into Gaza that's giving Hamas direct aid. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah, I could see this administration saying we stand with Germany long before they actually demonstrate in any measurable way that they stand with Israel.
Did you see any response from the White House to that?
No, I didn't. I didn't see. I was waiting for it. I didn't see it.
Was the question asked at all yesterday to Biden? I don't think it was asked to Biden at all.
I don't. Yeah. We would have seen that, but I didn't see it. I would think that would have made the rounds, but no. I mean, you're not going to get that. You're definitely not going to get that from this administration. But if you had a president who cared about national security, international security, and our ally, our strongest ally in the Middle East, then I would have thrown that gauntlet down immediately.
Yep.
You rescind that comment, you rescind that completely, or we're done with you, and you're on your own.
Yep. Foreign aid ends. Your diplomats, you send diplomats home.
Yeah, exactly.
The ambassador to the United States from Germany, out of here.
And do we
You're
have
gone.
to spell out the history of Germany and Jewish people?
Yep.
I don't think we should have to, but maybe we do. This is ludicrous. Ludicrous. The world and their anti-Semitism just proudly on display. I can't, there's no other way to describe it.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, we got to clean off the desk to get out of here for the long weekend.
All right.
Some other stories out there. Nearly 3/4 of House Democrats voted yesterday against repealing a Washington, D.C. law that allowed non-citizens to vote in local elections. Meanwhile, the vast majority of House Republicans voted in favor of prohibiting individuals who are not citizens of the United States from voting in elections. In the District of Columbia, no Republican voted against the repeal, and only 7 out of the 217 Republicans chose not to vote. The repeal is unlikely to go into effect, as it would require approval in the Democrat-controlled Senate. But what they want to do is get people, they want to get everybody on record, is what Republicans want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The district's non-citizen voting bill was passed 12-1 by the city council in October of 2022 and went into effect in March of 2023. The law allowed more than 40,000 non-citizens to vote in local elections, according to an estimate at the time from the Center of Immigration Studies. Councilmember Charles Allen, the bill's co-sponsor, said the council wanted to focus on removing barriers to voting and lifting the voices of all district voters, particularly those in historically underrepresented communities. The Immigration Reform Law Institute sued the D.C. government over the law, calling the policy a direct attack on American self-government that would let Russian and Chinese diplomats cast ballots in the District of Columbia. This law doesn't just give foreign citizens a voice in our country's affairs. It gives them voting power that politicians inevitably will have to respond to, said the director of litigation. That transfer of power flies in the face of a clear right of the American people to govern themselves. Wow. Just amazing. But this is something Republicans, should do, get the vote on it. Probably won't even come up from the Senate. I'm assuming Schumer will kill something like that immediately.
Keep in mind that the left was greatly concerned about, and they pretend to be concerned about, foreign influence on elections.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
Phrase
left,
it that
right?
way.
Yeah.
Foreign influence on elections. The Russians spent a whopping, $100,000 on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
And all of that, and they're influencing the election, they're influencing the election, which, by the way, we do too. But the left is pretending like, oh my gosh, we can't let these other nations influence the election. Oh, by the way, if you're here from another nation, you should be able to vote. That's the same party. There's no way around it.
So what do you want? Do you want foreign Democrats out there? Do you want foreign influence in elections official?
Right.
Is that the problem?
Now,
That if it's unofficial, you don't want it, but if it's official, you want it because Russian diplomats would be able to vote in D.C. under the bill.
yes, I was going to say, if they found out that 92% of those in D.C. from other nations were Russian, it would be a different story. We asked this question all along on a number of things, and they don't care. The fact is, they don't actually care. They're looking to bring as many people here for their voter base as they can to influence the census numbers and everything else so that they can get greater power.
What do you do if there's a local and federal election at the same time? Because that's the concern, that that's where the fraud would happen.
I guess you would have to create a separate ballot for them, right? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
They shouldn't be voting.
Oh, I agree.
But if you're going to facilitate that, then it would have to. I guess it would have to be a separate ballot saying these are the only elections you can participate in.
Now, I know here in the state of Texas where we have, elections every 2 weeks, or
Yeah,
at least it
right.
seems like it,
Right.
because local elections, and like let me see, we've had what? This would be the third local election this year. That, let me see, I think voting days would be Tuesday again.
Mm-hmm.
Would be another, the final local election. I think there were at least, there was another one earlier this month or last month. I forgot when there's just so many.
Earlier this month. Yeah.
There's so many of them. Now, nobody, I don't think, was anybody in the state on those ballots?
I have to go back and
Right.
review the ballot. I voted so many times. I don't know.
I know. It's just, it's like,
Yeah.
thank goodness it's a school around the corner from my house. It's like, I feel like, hey, how's everybody doing? Kids, how you doing?
Yeah. Right.
Want me to teach you some conservative stuff? Get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you stop them if there's local elections, state elections, and federal elections in the same election? Do non-citizens go to are they separated? Are they discriminated against and not allowed to use?
Right. Can they
The
even get
regular
a
voting
drink of
machines?
water? Yeah.
Are we starving them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so ludicrous. But this is exactly what they want. I remember in New York when client number 9 was pushing for the driver's license thing. Spitzer.
I know that. Client number 9. Because remember where he was busted. Remember I was sitting here and remember the phone call where he was busted? He made the call from the place that I used to be a club DJ at in Niagara Falls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a great little club in the back. It was
Right.
basically a pizzeria with a great little dance club in the back that I worked at. I'm going to never forget because I recognized it. It was like, here's where Spitzer made that call to whatever the prostitute or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, my God, that's Honey's parking lot. I used to work there.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's like, what a small world.
Well,
Whatever happened to Spitzer?
I was going to say
What's he doing these days?
that whole thing was a much bigger controversy than his push for driver's license for illegals.
Yeah. Remember how big that was?
Yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah,
Man,
I don't know.
He's younger than I am. Jeez, I'm just looking at just seeing what he's up to now. Probably.
Well, you know what they say keeps you young? Sex. Ew. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh. Jeez.
My gosh. reaching into the Wayback Files on that one.
Okay, and in 2019, he announced his engagement.
Engagement in what?
To Roxana Girlin, founder and president of real estate agency Sebastian Capital.
Oh, to a person. Okay.
Yeah.
What is he engaged in? Again? Yeah. All right. That's fine.
He had a romantic relationship with Liz Smith, the spokesperson for then New York City Mayor-elect Bill de Blasio. That relationship ended in 2015. Then in 2019, he announced his engagement. It doesn't say if they ever got married or whatever, but that's the. I'm looking at Wikipedia here. It says better source needed.
We need anyone who cares about Spitzer. Anyone who even wants to know anything about the guy. Yeah, let us know. For the first person.
Okay,
to open
he's doing his father's real estate business apparently.
All right,
Spitzer Enterprises.
All right.
Spitzer came to lead his family's real estate business, Spitzer Enterprises, despite having avoided the role for much of his life. Yeah, but his political career had ended. He had no choice.
Yeah, he avoided it. It's like, okay, fine.
He's Spitzer.
Man, he really didn't want to do real estate, did he?
Spitzer sold his company's apartments in the Corinthian and the Crown building for a large profit, which he used to fund a $700 million project of 3 waterfront buildings in South Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So there you go. I mean,
all right.
But that goes back to 2014.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
What he's doing today, it doesn't say. It's like since 2019, they're just like, who cares? It's just
whatever.
Wasn't he on CNN for a while? Didn't he do a CNN show?
Did he?
I think he did. Yeah.
I think so.
He did some show. He was on. Yes, legal career. Okay, I'm trying to see what he did afterwards. Governor of New York.
Wasn't the show called Client Number 9? Maybe I'm wrong about that. And now, Client Number 9 on CNN. Yeah. Client Number 9. Wasn't that an album by The Who? Wasn't that a perfume?
He became a regular columnist for Slate magazine. And in December of 2008, Slate published the first of a new series of columns by Spitzer dedicated to the economy.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, okay. And June 24th, 2010, CNN announced that Spitzer would join the network to host a roundtable discussion program alongside right-center commentator Kathleen Parker. Parker Spitzer was the name of the show.
Okay.
Compared by some media outlets to the defunct Crossfire. In 2011, CNN announced that Parker was leaving the show, which was named In the Arena.
Okay.
On February of 2011. By July, CNN announced it was canceling In the Arena and shifting Anderson Cooper 360 to the 8 p.m. time slot. So,
wow. He was Anderson Cooper's predecessor.
oh, jeez. I forgot about this.
Huh.
This is going to be nostalgic for you here.
All right.
In March of 2012, Spitzer joined Al Gore's cable television network, Current TV, in the wake of the sudden firing of Keith Olbermann from the network.
So he's Olbermann's successor.
Yes.
Mom!
Remember the hype of Current TV? Remember the hype of that?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it was so bad. And then what did he do? Who did he sell it to? Who did he sell? Al Jazeera.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Did that ever work out?
I don't think so. I don't think it did.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks for the memories. I hadn't thought of Spitzer in a while.
Yeah, no, it's good to sometimes go back to some things. I don't like to live in the past though. So we'll try not to do that ever again. Yeah, that's crazy. And the one thing, aside from the whole scandal thing, that I remember about Spitzer is the driver's licenses.
Yeah.
Because it became such a huge deal with conservatives. And, you look at the thing that's going on in D.C. now and where the Democrats are. Nah, let them vote. Aren't you worried about foreign influence on elections? Only if it's helping the right. That's what it comes down to. If it helps us, we're okay with it.
Spitzer had at least 7 or 8 liaisons with women from the agency and paid more than $15,000.
Wow.
$1,000 an hour hookers.
Wow.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, University President. Before Congress yesterday, we'll have some of that coming up here in just a little bit, some audio from that. Also, on the way here, even high-earning tech workers cannot afford most New York City apartments. That story from the New York Post coming up, plus everything else that happened this week. Let me see here. Hang on. Got something else. Oh, the radicals getting your tax money. That was the story I wanted to get to.
Oh,
yes.
All right. More of my tax money.
More your tax. Yes.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the world. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome.
Hello.
Who did that? Who said hello?
It could be in that voice. It could have been Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman. Or could have been, hello. A little bit of, I don't know, Dr. Evil. How about no? Hello. And then, what's his name on Seinfeld? Hello.
Oh, Newman. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Jerry.
Well, here we are, Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
I think about when I was, younger as a kid. I mean, waking up. Memorial Day was the beginning of the summer, even though we had 2 weeks of school left up in New York. Now, the school around the corner from me in Texas was already done, and they're back in August. But in New York, it's like middle of June, and then they start school like the day or two after Labor Day. And but still, the Memorial Day was, okay, it's just about over. It was the sort of beginning of the summer. We always, my Boy Scout troop, Boy Scout troop, always marched in the local parade, and then we would come back where Dad would soak the charcoal in gasoline,
right, just to make it tastier. Yeah.
Then stand about 10 feet away and just toss,
lob a match. Yeah.
And then we would listen to the Indianapolis 500 on the radio.
Right.
Because it was not, people don't know this, it was not broadcast live on TV. They tape delayed it at night during prime time, which I always thought was the dumbest thing ever. It just didn't make sense.
Right.
But yeah, they blacked the Indianapolis 500 was blacked out. We would listen to it on the radio. As I can still remember being out there, and then Dad would let the charcoal, the gasoline would burn off. There was never any gasoline taste to the hamburgers or hot dogs that we had.
No, you sure?
Yeah. But I can still remember, and I was always fascinated. And there was a local guy who he raced a few years, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years, against all the greats, and it was Mario Andretti's. And
yeah.
I can still remember listening the last year that the great Formula One racer, Jim Clark, who then died. He was a hell of a race car driver.
Right.
But, I mean, that Parnelli Jones, A.J. Foyt, all that, I mean, that was just – and it was great because there was tons of theater of the mind listening to it on the radio. And now I don't think, I mean, does anybody really do automobile racing on the radio anymore? Does it still? I guess maybe they do, but
I don't think so. I don't think so. They do racing shows where they talk about it. They don't do. I don't think they do live broadcasts. I interviewed Mario Andretti one time. It was a great interview. I mean, it was just one of those things. You could go forever, right? It's like, I have so many questions. But, yeah, it's a great interview. Great interview. Lots of fun. Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm going to be in Florida for the weekend, but I get back Sunday night, so I may be able to catch some of the classic war films out there. That I'm sure one of my streaming channels is going to carry them, and I'm trying to think of what I want to watch this year. Because I always will always watch something from World War II. I just the Pearl Harbor's the one that came out with Benifer's husband. But that one never. I love the scenes in there, the actual attack scenes, but the love triangle was just the dumbest thing in that movie.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie. That came out a couple of years ago, Midway.
Oh yeah,
it's actually a pretty good movie.
Right. Yeah. I saw that. It was good.
Yeah, that was actually. I like that. So, and actually, Midway the movie, which the original one that came out in the 60s. That's actually pretty good because it actually goes through, the scenario of what happened, and they do in the other Midway too. But the first Midway movie in the 60s was really long.
Yeah, it was.
But I always enjoyed, enjoyed that one. But The Ultimate Sacrifice, we appreciate it. You just, you look at what's going on in our college campuses today, and you wonder whether there's any type of appreciation. I saw somebody brought up on social media, the New York Times, I think it was like beginning of July editorial back in 2021. Does the American flag unite us anymore? You know what my first thought was when I saw that? Go to hell.
Yeah.
That is the first thought. I mean, I'm sorry it's blunt. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I don't care if I did. My house I've got the red, white, and blue spotlights already on. Put them on last night. Got my electric American flag going. The flag represents the Constitution of the United States and the people that fought to protect it.
Yeah,
that's what it represents. It represents the law. And that's what we're dealing with right now. When you look at Trump, none of this is about. I mean, it is about Trump that they're going after him. But when you look at what's going on with the rogue prosecutors and rogue judges, all of this is about the Constitution. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
And that's what the flag stands for. And the flag stands for the people that fought to die for the law. because that's what we are. We're a nation of laws through our elected representatives. And when people ignore them, they spit on the Constitution. That's what Bragg is doing. That's what the judge is doing. Merchan's doing. He's spitting on the Constitution of the United States by doing this. They know it. When you don't follow the law, and your job is specifically to follow the law, you don't believe in America.
Well, and this is, I think about this quite often. The idea of, as we honor the ultimate sacrifice of those who died for liberty, it cannot be, we can't allow those sacrifices to be in vain. We're at a critical crossroads right now. And this is not justice. What's happening right now is not justice. It's not justice that the borders are wide open.
Nope.
That foreigners could vote in elections in D.C. We talked about that earlier. That foreigners can actually not only influence an election, they can be a critical part of the election. Well, that idea, the left wants to take that even further and make it possible for every election on every level. And then you think about the lawfare, as you mentioned, and a nation of laws requires a justice system, while imperfect, has to follow a process that's set out by our Constitution, that was recognized by our framers as to how to best approach the law and deal with those who break the law, not those who are a threat to you politically. And that's very different. In fact, we have gone to war with countries that are doing what we're doing now. If Trump goes to jail, it's going to make global headlines for a reason. Not the drama that we see here domestically and the social media drama and Keith Olbermann dancing around in some kind of momentary victory. It's going to be because the rest of the world is going to have one of these, oh my God, moments. I can't believe the United States has fallen this far.
Is a banana republic. Because at that point, if Trump is found guilty, we are at that point a banana republic.
There is no way around that. And if and further, because I believe he would win appeal, but it wouldn't matter by that point, because if he wins appeal, but the Democrats, even if they don't win the White House, they're still winning elections. Fani Willis won her primary.
83% of Democrats approve of not following the law.
And when
that voted in that 83% she got in the Democratic primary, they don't believe in the law. And that's
Alvin Bragg is fulfilling campaign promises right now by going after his political enemy.
Making up law.
Yep. He won the election in part because of that.
They did the civil suit too.
Yeah. And all of this, Letitia James, again, fulfilling campaign promise here and bringing down Trump. Think about this. How many Democrats along the way, from the beginning, before the 2016 election, they were talking about they were going to bring him down and immediately would impeach him? Well, they did it twice based on nothing. They're going after him criminally based on nothing. The civil suit based on nothing. These are all of these things. And for the first time ever, going after him on the documents thing, for the first time of any president, going after him on the documents thing while they leave Biden, who wasn't even president when he took the documents. He was a senator and he was a vice president, and it's okay for that to happen. We are at a critical crossroads, and if you choose to ignore that, then you let those ultimate sacrifices be in vain that were made by the countless souls that we honor this weekend, and I hope we all honor them.
Well, I remember when we got into the discussion a few years back where, well, what is patriotism? You're saying I'm not a patriot if I disagree with you. If you're on the left and you don't believe in freedom of speech, if you're on the left and don't believe in the First Amendment and don't believe in freedom of speech and don't believe in freedom of religion, you don't believe in the Second Amendment, don't believe in the separation of powers, the three branches of government that I don't know, but probably the new survey will come out as to whether the majority of Americans have no idea what the three branches of government are, that they can't name them, which means they clearly don't understand the separation of powers, which is what we've always promoted as one of the most important parts. And it was great, when that speech came out in the last month from Justice Scalia, who said the Bill of Rights aren't the most important thing in the Constitution. It's separation of powers.
Yep.
It's the three branches of government. It's not allowing power to accumulate in one area. And that's what you see, and you want to see an example of it. You see an example of it, for example, in New York, where you have rogue prosecutors and rogue judges make up crime. They can't even make up crime. They can't even, that one, you look at the fraud case, where they came up with a new definition of fraud, which, again, why that eventually is going to be overturned. In this case, they've got this thing going to the jury next week. They haven't even told the jury what the crime is.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that makes the United States and makes New York, a banana republic at that point. There's where the Constitution falls apart. Those people aren't Americans. They don't believe in America. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing what they do. They'd look and say, no, this is what the law states, and if we prosecute someone, we need to be absolutely clear what the law is to the jury, instead of saying, well, let it go to the jury and they can figure out what the law is.
Yeah.
No, jury doesn't figure out what the law is. You have to tell them what the law is, and you won't do that. Bragg? He doesn't give a damn about being American. He's not an American. He doesn't believe he's an American.
He's lying to the jury.
Merchant doesn't believe he's an American. No. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing this. They're not patriots because they don't believe in the rule of law. They don't believe in the Constitution of the United States.
Defense brings a witness, and they shut him down repeatedly.
Yeah. And that's why you have people like Dershowitz, who's a lifelong liberal. That's why you had the same thing with Jonathan Turley. That's why they're absolutely blown away by this. The legal experts on CNN that aren't conservative, they're looking at what the hell's going on here. They're making this crap up as you go along. If you don't follow the rule of law that comes from your elected representatives in a republic, you are the fascist.
Yep.
Bragg is the fascist.
Yep.
The judge is the fascist.
Yep.
These are fascists that say the law be damned. We're just going to make it up as we go along because we can.
Yep. They don't care anything about law and order.
No, they don't.
Defund the police, let the criminals go free, and those political enemies, put them behind bars.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. But you have to teach the Constitution, and I don't know what they do in schools today or what they do in colleges. I remember when my dad explained to me Because one of the first things he explained to me when I was a kid was about the separation of powers, which was wanting to understand the difference between the Soviet Union and the United States.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, and it was, as my dad told me, he says, well, what the founding fathers realize is that human beings aren't perfect. And if human beings can get control of things, and they get power, power corrupts. And so the founding fathers saw the separation of powers, the three branches of government, as a way, as the hardest way for a particular branch to have control. But you see the pockets of the control of power that is outside the law. You see it in the Bragg prosecution. You see it where you have a rogue judge and a rogue prosecutor. You have both. They won't follow the law. They won't, inside the judicial system, the rot exists. We mentioned James Comey, who's making the rounds again. And we brought to you that where he, said that remember the prostitution P tape of Trump that never existed because it was all made up, where he was over a year, probably a year and 3 months after he knew that it was bogus and came from the Hillary campaign, he was still promoting the fact that could be true. He was the damn head of the FBI, and after he was fired, was promoting that lie on a consistent basis. And then he came forth yesterday and said, oh, Bragg has a lot stronger case than I first thought that he had. He's lying.
Yep.
And he knows he's lying.
Yep.
But Comey doesn't care about the law.
No. And he doesn't care about the rank-and-file FBI agents that are out there to enforce the law.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I know that for myself, I love having these talks because it always comes up Memorial Day and 4th of July and everything else, about what is patriotism. And I love to get more than just the rhetorical arguments in there, the over-the-top rhetorical arguments. Because that's always brought up where the left says, well, they said we're not patriots, we're patriots. And then we ask the question, what is a patriot?
Yeah.
Because you hear it all the time. People come up to you and go, you're a great patriot. Well, what does that mean? We have people that say, well, if you don't believe in the Constitution of the United States, that makes you a patriot. No, believing in the Constitution of the United States makes you a patriot. And you don't see it on the left. Everything that they wish to do is tear it down. And we brought it up before. The First Amendment, they want that gone. They don't want the First Amendment. They want freedom of speech for themselves, not for you. They're trying it every single, you look at Canada right now with the liberal transgender, activist movement and hate crime laws, which is exactly where we said when they came out, we came out against hate crime laws. Because we said, no, they're going to be used to regulate speech down the road. And that's exactly where they're going, to regulate speech, to regulate preferred speech.
Yeah.
To actually, where you think where it's gone in the radical transgender movement, that if you don't lie and make things up, you're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm. Well, we asked the question, well, if you don't believe in this Constitution, what do you actually believe in? If you say you're a patriot, then what do you actually believe?
Yeah. And they never have that conversation. They simply say, well, that's wrong to do because both sides have, well, no, what are both sides about? Let's go in and talk the specifics of what both sides are about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We really are at that critical point. And the reason I say that is because if we decide that we're okay with the radicals ruling, Not that because there are going to be radicals in every society. That we've had radicals before now. But the radicals are on the rise in terms of their power. And if we're going to allow them to gain more power and maintain that power, then we have become a banana republic. We have become what we have fought against for forever, since the beginning. If we allow that to happen, then I don't know what reverses that. We've allowed too much to happen already, which is how we got here. And we can decide to change that, or we can keep going and watch the cliff event happen eventually.
Well, when you see where it's gone, and we've talked about the fact that it's the left that wants to, and from the very beginning, and we caught this very early on. I mean, I've always looked at what John McCain went through, for example, and just went, my God, I just, I don't know how he handled the torture that he went through. Mm-hmm. And it was really horrible. So to see him come out from McCain-Feingold wishing to limit freedom of speech always blew my mind. It made no sense from somebody who had been tortured by brutal communist fascists to all of a sudden, be for McCain. And I said this at the time, and people, you're attacking a patriot. I go, I'm attacking somebody who's trying to water down freedom of speech by saying, well, these people should get freedom of speech and these people should not get freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. If you're in an endeavor if you're a group of people trying to push for something, then your freedom of speech should be limited. That's what McCain-Feingold actually did.
Right.
And now you have Republicans like Josh Hawley pushing, well, only corporations shouldn't have free speech. Other groups should. Mm-hmm. Josh Hawley's an idiot for saying that.
Right.
He's an absolute idiot.
Yeah, that was really, it was one of those gut punches out of the blue, like a rogue wave coming from Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
But it's further proof that we have said, again, the people come and go. It's the ideas that remain. And I don't care who's pushing a liberal idea. In that moment, you're a liberal. You're pushing a liberal idea.
Yeah.
And you can call yourself whatever you want to, but promoting something, and this has happened with far too many on the right and in the GOP, where it's not even reaching across the aisle. They're just flat out initiating the entire promotion of a liberal idea on their own. Not like they're, hey, we need to work with the other side. No, they just kind of grab something like that on their own and then run with it. And you and I are looking at it going, well, the left is going to be fully on board for this.
Yeah.
Again, it's about the ideas. It's not about the people.
And, there are a lot of bad people that have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But, when Josh Hawley came out and said, well, we need to change the First Amendment that corporations shouldn't have free speech.
Right.
Well, then you're doing McCain-Feingold? No, I don't go as far as that. Other groups should get it. Mm-hmm. But this group shouldn't. Well, why shouldn't? What separates a corporation from a labor organization having free speech? What separates corporate interest from the NRA?
Right.
Having their free speech.
Right.
So you're saying that if a group of citizens of the United States enter in an agreement that the state has created. Remember, the state has created the concept of a corporation.
Yeah.
So you decide to enter, it's a group of laws to regulate business. So you, as a good citizen of the United States, enter that, and then you're told you don't have freedom of speech rights. Well, why is that specifically? Why is that?
Right.
And this is what I would ask Josh Hawley. look, I don't agree with the pro-terrorist people, but we're not going to throw them in jail. In fact, I want Democrats to tell me that they're pro-terrorist because then I know who they are and what they stand for.
Mm-hmm.
But when Josh Hawley, when a Republican comes out and says, well, no, corporations shouldn't have free speech rights, why?
Right, why?
And that gets back to the whole thing that the profit motive is somehow more evil when that's the basis of capitalism that separates us completely from communism.
Right.
And he throws it out as if it's, okay, rah, 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 this is the populist opinion. Corporations are bad. No, corporations are wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
There are people inside of corporations that can do wrong things, and if they do wrong things or commit real fraud, not fake fraud, but real fraud, got to make sure we talk about that.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what they're going after Trump for is fake fraud, as Letitia James did. And people stood up for, you can't sit there and stand up for Trump because it was a rogue prosecution on a civil law and say, yeah, but, well, then Trump shouldn't have free speech to fight back because he was part of a corporation. That was part of his corporation. And so you lose your free speech rights. It's the most asinine thing. And I remember, as I said, when I worked at our flagship station, our great affiliate in Portland, Oregon. It was my flagship station at one point, KXL, and Russ Feingold came on to promote it. He was not happy when he walked out of that room with me because I basically said, who the hell are you to determine who has freedom of speech? Who gave you the right? And I would have said the same thing to John McCain if he would have been there. And, yeah, you fought, and he was tortured. And without question, he is, for what he went through, he's an American hero. It didn't mean that he was full of crap when it came to McCain-Feingold. He was completely 100% wrong, and that blew my mind, has always blown my mind, somebody who suffered so much for this country that would be willing to weaken freedom of speech like that. And then Josh Hawley comes along and says, well, not all groups, just corporations lose our freedom of speech.
Right.
Go to hell. Who the hell are you to say what American citizen gets free speech rights? And then that whole dumb thing, oh, corporations aren't people. I'm not making that argument. People are people. Wait a minute, wasn't that a song?
Depeche Mode.
Bad people. People are people inside corporations. They get free speech rights. Of course, a law doesn't have free speech rights. But the people who work within that law have free. This is so easy. This isn't rocket science to figure out.
Well, and look, it was part of what we see today. You're on the road to limiting everyone's speech. What you want to do is start carving out what you can sell as the bad people. Oh, these big bad corporations. Oh, these hate groups. And then they determine what the hate group is. It would be pretty much everybody in the South Bronx that was at the rally for Trump. Right? I mean,
that's who's evil today, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're just a bunch of clowns.
Well, evil clowns, though.
Evil clowns.
You know, the Stephen King kind. And those are the things that we look at, is because we don't live in the bubble of today, and we don't live in the bubble of yesterday. We live in, as you and I and many critical thinkers build it out as to what is the next eventual step. What's the next logical step? Well, the next logical step beyond McCain-Feingold was, well, yeah, but these other groups. You know, then you get to the lowest learner. Oh, that Tea Party group. No, we can't treat them right. You know, and what about this group? What about that? If they can determine, and if they can define what a hate group is or a domestic terrorist group is, you know, the rise of the whole well, these people, you don't know where they are. They're on land somewhere, and they're collecting guns and you know, they have these large pickups, and they are. I mean, they can build it out as far as they want to in people's minds and have people believe it, and then they get away with it. Well, you're hurting somebody's feelings if you don't call them by the proper pronoun. And that's what determines freedom of speech, is feelings. Actually, no, it's quite the opposite. It's the reason we have freedom of speech is because I can say things that you disagree with, even if it's something personal about you, as long as I don't accuse you of something. We do have laws that protect you if I accuse you of committing a crime or being, a certain type of person based on behavior. I can't do that. But I don't have to agree with your agenda. I don't have to agree with you politically. That's what the framers were very aware of. And that's today, we can't have that. And by the way, it's the left that wants to shut it down. Why is that? Well, because they can't have a debate.
When W passed McCain-Feingold and said, "Oh, I know there's constitutional parts of it are unconstitutional,"
Yeah.
and we said that was reprehensible for George W. Bush to do that.
He said, "I'll let the courts work it out."
Right. I'm going to sign something that's unconstitutional that I know is unconstitutional, and the courts will work it out because there's some good points in it. I was just livid beyond all being livid. And I'll never forget Russ Feingold saying, well, the thing is, we don't want these groups to have free speech rights. We want to limit their free speech rights a couple of months before an election because they could influence an election.
Right.
And I mean, that's the dumbest thing in the world, of course. That's why free speech exists, so everyone can attempt to influence an election.
Right.
That's why it was almost like the whole entitlement. Social Security, they're calling it an entitlement program. It's not an entitlement program because you're entitled to it.
That means it's actually an entitlement. Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, the college presidents, we'll get to that. They were before Congress again, especially the Northwestern president, where they decided to strike a deal with the pro-terrorists.
Yeah, why not? You should give them their own campus.
And I love it. It's like, we the organization that we founded, the people that were that were against anti-Semitism, they all quit. Why? Because you allowed people that were pro-terrorist on the board.
Yeah. Right.
In the group.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's... I mean, it's just the most bizarre. We're doomed.
Yeah, we are doomed.
We're doomed.
We are doomed.
We're doomed.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Memorial Day weekend is here. I haven't heard about, normally you hear, how many people are traveling. I know they say travel is supposed to be down this summer. I did see just an article, a headline on that yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
Because of costs.
Well, gasoline is still up there. I saw it yesterday, I think, somewhere. It's right around in our area on unleaded, $3.50. I paid $2.99 north of here the other day, which I was pretty happy about. And then I saw right down the road from that, I saw $3.49. I'm like, wow, man, you could save 50 cents a gallon if you travel just a few minutes. But that's going to be, that's going to be cost prohibitive. You know what I saw though? A couple of retailers sent me emails. You sign up for their email when you, I don't know if you get any kind of added service like Walmart Plus or anything like that, or if you have a credit card or something, or if you just get email, you just signed up for email 15% off things, you get on their email list. And it's always interesting to see that when it comes around holidays. Memorial Day and Labor Day actually on sales, I was told by a friend of mine who is an analyst for a retail analyst. He said that quite often the Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend sales mimic Black Friday and are right there neck and neck with some of the deals that you might get. And he said, so it's a big deal for retailers. But one thing I noticed with retailers that were sending me these emails, hey, here are some plans for your staycation, which is interesting. Is that already believed? Are analysts for these large, and it's large retailers, do they believe, is there something that's telling them? I haven't seen this anywhere at Bloomberg or CNBC or anywhere else where they believe now that, a large number of people will have staycations. It stands to reason in face of all the inflation that people are facing, maxed out credit cards. You're not going to do vacations. I know that news is out there, but do they really believe it's going to be a very large group of individuals who won't be taking any vacation at all, and it will be a staycation? Because I just found it interesting that came up from 3 different retailers in their promotional emails that were in my inbox.
Like I said, I saw the one headline yesterday saying that they believe this summer that travel overall will be down, but not for Memorial Day weekend. They expect record 3 million people expected to pass through airport checkpoints today. That could rival the record of 2.9 million set Sunday last year. Now, today will be the busiest day. They talked that by early evening on the East Coast, more than 6,000 flights have been delayed Thursday, with the biggest backups at the 3 major airports in New York City and Dallas-Fort Worth. We did have storms, though, didn't we, yesterday?
Yeah.
Everything was north of me, but I know it was up by the airport, so I could have seen that happened. We've been having over the last month storms and rain and things like that. I know at my house, I cut my lawn on Tuesday because it was supposed to pour. I mean, it was 85% chance of rain, 80 to 90% Wednesday and Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing. Absolutely no rain, nothing.
AAA projects 43.8 million travelers will head 50 miles or more from home over the Memorial Day weekend. This year's total number of travelers is a 4% increase over last year and comes close to matching 2005's record of 44 million Memorial Day travelers. So, yeah, all right. Well, here's my question, though. What data did they have on if it's, because they measure it, and that's it. Is it basically outside of roughly an hour? 50 miles is roughly an hour. That's what you travel per hour by car on the average. So, but are people traveling shorter distances overall? I don't know if they keep track of that data. Which would make sense. I know as a dad over the years, still today, in fact, if the whole crew is going, we're likely driving, or we're driving down to get on a cruise ship, which is, 4 or 5 hours away if we're going to board in Galveston. So it's not, getting an entire crew, my crew is 16. Yeah, that's a bit pricey when it comes to airline tickets. And it's also a chaotic in terms of managing that at the airport.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really love to see the numbers and see how many people are traveling a shorter distance overall. If that's the case, it may not be.
I'm looking here. I will say this, that it all depends where you fly. I'm flying to Tampa. Tampa's cheap to fly from DFW.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can actually find, airline tickets. I've seen everything from, and again, if your schedule's flexible, anything from like $285 to 400 to fly round trip, which isn't bad at all. Buffalo's always been expensive.
Yeah.
I've always said for all the times in American Airlines, and I'm talking about flying American Airlines exclusively, except maybe one or two times when I flew for business and somebody else flew me. But I've been flying American Airlines exclusively since 1997.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking 27 years. And all the times that they had airline sales, all the time, you would think that, okay, Buffalo, who wants to go to Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not one sale ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right.
Ever. Never been one sale on American Airlines to Buffalo.
Wow.
And they don't do that like they used to. They used to always, every week they'd say, here are the sales we have, flying from here to here to here to here.
Right.
And I'd be like, oh, wow. Or I still get the emails, though. We have special discounted, flights to fly to Buffalo. I'll get the email, and then I check it out. There's no damn discount. It's like, stop it.
Yeah. So here's the breakdown from AAA. The share of travelers by mode. By auto, it's 87.6%. By air, 8%. And other, which is primarily hitchhiking, 4.3%. I could be wrong. 4.3%. And so this year, 38.4 million by auto. This is for Memorial Day weekend. 3.51 million by air, and other, which is primarily hitchhiking. 1.9 million. 1.9 million, a total of 43.8 million. So
I will say this, because I'm reading here some people saying, well, rent-a-cars seem more expensive. Rent-a-cars seem like they're down in price, actually, this year.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things I noticed. I saw that yesterday. Somebody else mentioned that on social media, that it looked like, that they were kind of surprised on the deal they got on a rental car. Also saw the story that the discount retailers, Target and Walmart, are dropping prices. And the question from analysts is, all right, to what extent does this affect inflation, right? Or will it? What impact will it have on inflation numbers? Well, my question on that is, all right, if it's not a fire sale by any means, but unless you're talking Red Lobster, but for the discount retailers, the biggest, Walmart and Target, is it a glut of inventory you're trying to get rid of? Are you creating something of like a large group of loss leaders to get people in? Or have you negotiated with your vendors, deals to get a number of things cheaper? I don't know. I don't know what the breakdown is of that, but I'm going to be looking into it because I'm always curious about that. I mean, I think everybody's curious as to how to find better prices, but you and I are curious because of the nature of our job and watching what retailers are doing and how they're competing. And right now, it's a very interesting time at the retail level. Very interesting time.
Well, that's the one thing that I have, seen when it comes to the inflation numbers, right now. And when they start talking about, okay, there may be the lowering of prices, Walmart and stuff like that. What else were we looking at? Oh, just the value meals. And it's like, yeah, but that might be a sign that the economy is slowing down and supply and demand is hitting. And, we still hear, I'll still see an occasional article on deflation.
Mm-hmm.
But you really don't want deflation.
Right. Here's a story from Wednesday. Yeah, true deflation. Means that the consumer is slowing down and retailers are having to do everything they can to either get rid of inventory gluts or just keep them back, get them back in the store. But true deflation overall is a sign of a slowing economy. And here it is from CNBC just a couple of days ago, why Target and McDonald's are cutting prices and offering deals. Well, we can put an asterisk by that McDonald's because, as you mentioned yesterday, the actual franchisees are telling McDonald's corporate, hey, we're not so sure we can afford this, that we can afford the value, offering the value menu. But here it is from CNBC. Target's weak quarterly earnings underscored why it cut prices on thousands of household staples. It's struggling to win over bargain hunters. The discounter is not alone. Target's first quarterly results on Wednesday not only show American consumers are more selective about spending in the face of sustained inflation. Wow, this is CNBC, really? That has squeezed their budgets for nearly 3 years. The company's declining sales also illustrate how the battle for shoppers' wallets has heated up as retailers and even some restaurants race to outmatch each other on low prices. Again, this is CNBC. Walmart said last week that its grocery rollbacks, short-term deals on specific items, were up 45% year over year in April. The discounter also introduced a new premium grocery brand. That's something that I touched on. I think it's called Better Good, or something is the name of the label. It's a store brand by Walmart. Elsewhere, Aldi dropped prices earlier this month on more than 250 items, including chicken, steak, granola bars, and frozen blueberries. But, it is now the battle for market share, as they spell out here at CNBC. Because you and I have talked about over the years, whether you shop at Walmart or not, Walmart is saving your family thousands of dollars. And the reason is because other discount retailers are out there competing. And so if you're shopping at a Walmart competitor, it's because Walmart was the biggest first. And that brought on the competition. And now you see it everywhere. Aldi, which has risen on the grocery store level, they've gotten a pretty strong core base of customers. And you see Amazon competing, even though they're having to deliver it. They're not, I wouldn't consider them a discount retailer by any means, but certainly their biggest competitor is Walmart on the e-retail level. In fact, they're threatening Walmart for the number one spot as a retailer overall, just simply because of their scale. But then you look at things like Family Dollar and the Dollar Store and Dollar Tree and all of these other discount retailers, and it's about the market share, because we do become, as a consumer, when things are tight, we look for every single discount, every level of better pricing, and adjusting that price point accordingly every time. For ourselves, we're moving that threshold as to what we're willing to pay for any given item or service. And that's what restaurants learn. This is a sign of a tightening economy. This is those retailers competing for that market share. When times are good, we don't discriminate as much. And when when you're struggling to make ends meet, you're looking at every single dollar and you're finding every discount you can, and that's what's going on here.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. When driving, you need to manage the space around your vehicle so that there's enough space to allow you to adjust when traffic conditions change. The space ahead of your vehicle is the most important and one of the easiest to monitor and adjust as needed. One rule of thumb is to allow at least 1 second for each 10 feet of vehicle length at speeds below 40 miles per hour. At greater speeds, add an additional second. It's impossible to keep other drivers from tailgating you, but there are some things you can do to make it safer, such as increasing your following distance, avoiding quick lane changes, and slowing down. There are also several things you should do to ensure that there is plenty of space between the side of your vehicle and other vehicles. Don't hug the center line, avoid hugging the right side of the road, and avoid traveling alongside other vehicles in strong winds, especially crosswinds. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, you had college presidents yesterday from Northwestern University, Rutgers, and University of California before Congress. We'll have some of that interesting audio coming up here in the next couple of minutes, especially the Northwestern president. He got blasted, Michael Schill. He's the one that, remember, negotiated with the pro-terrorists.
Yeah.
To stop this.
Right.
And said, okay, those demands are be okay. In order to get you to stop this, here's what we're going to do. And we'll let you know what a cluster that turned into. It's amazing what's going on right now. I'm sure that a lot of our listeners do what we do. You shake your head every day and you're like, my God, Yeah. It keeps hitting you. The insanity keeps hitting every single day, which is why I think you saw what you saw in the Bronx yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting is that Siena poll that came out the other day that showed in New York State that it's the gap between Biden and Trump is lessening. And you and I asked the question, well, the margin of error is, what was it, 3.6 points or whatever it was. And what if all of that margin of error is in favor for Trump, and it's much, much closer than 9 points now. And does the Trump campaign know that gap is closing in? And that's why they went to the South Bronx.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you want if you can't listen live overnight. All right, the House Education Committee held a hearing about anti-Semitism on college campuses yesterday. This is Representative Tim Walberg, Republican of Michigan, having a discussion with Northwestern University President Michael Schill.
Mr. Walberg, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
I thank you, Madam Chairman. President Schill, your President's Advisory Committee on Preventing Anti-Semitism and Hate recently disbanded after 7 Jewish members of the committee, including its co-chair and a university trustee, resigned in protest of your caving to the encampment's demands. You and your administration had cited the creation of this committee as proof you are working to counter anti-Semitism. But 3 faculty members you appointed to it had objected to the committee's very creation in a letter that downplayed anti-Semitism and defended the phrase "from the river to the sea." At least 2 of them have supported BDS efforts against Israel. Question: why did you believe it was appropriate to appoint faculty members who have defended and made excuses for anti-Semitism and oppressed and opposed the committee's purported mission of combating anti-Semitism?
Thank you for your question, Congressman Wahlberg. The number one, I'd like to just address the premise of your question. The 7 members who resigned from the committee resigned for 2 reasons. They were unable to reach consensus about what anti-Semitism was.
How could they reach consensus if you have people already having made clear statements that were anti-Semitic, that spoke for BDS and said that "from the river to the sea" is a good statement?
And they resigned because they were not consulted with respect to the negotiations.
Surprise,
they
surprise.
did not resign. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you, will you commit to keeping off those type of members of a committee if you reconstitute this committee as you say you're going to do?
I will be appointing to the task force that we are going to create faculty, staff, administrators who I believe are committed to fighting anti-Semitism and as committed to fighting anti-Semitism as I am.
We'll be watching. President Schill, one of the advisory committee members, Jessica Weniger, has been a leader of academic boycott efforts against Israel. She's also referred to, and I quote, Zionist media and condemned, quote, white liberal dialogue politics, and she signed a petition defending a Palestinian terrorist who murdered 2 Israeli college students in a bombing. Do you acknowledge Professor Weniger as grossly unfit for a committee meant to combat anti-Semitism?
I do not believe in the BDS movement. I am in print against it at my previous university, and I will not be discussing individual faculty members or
so
their
you won't
writing.
say that a person like her, let's forget her name, but a person with her principles will not be on this commission?
I will be appointing people to the committee who are committed to fighting anti-Semitism.
Your record isn't that way. You also appointed a leader of Northwestern's Middle Eastern and North African Student Association to the advisory committee, despite the fact that in the days after October 7th, the MENA Student Association released a statement explicitly supporting the terrorist attack, saying this, and I quote, "We resoundingly support Palestinian resistance to over 75 years of Israeli state-sanctioned violence and calling the terrorists killed in the attack martyrs." Do you agree these comments are shocking and beyond the pale?
I will not be commenting, and certainly not commenting on any student in what students
I think we're hearing that there's no change going to take place at Northwestern University relative to anti-Semitism. How could you possibly appoint a student who supported the October 7th terrorist attack to a committee meant to combat anti-Semitism?
I'm not going to comment on the speech of
See, Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
any damn liberal answer a question?
No,
ever?
they can't. No, they can't. They can't.
But
I'm not going to comment on the. I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to. It goes back to, again, the bigger question, and we have been saying this to liberals for the longest time. Own it. Why can't you own it?
Well, but the perverse humor of this all is what the congressman is saying. Let's say there was a group to stop in the 60s. This is a group to stop discrimination in Jim Crow laws. And so we've created a panel to stop it. And on the panel, you have people that are pro Jim Crow laws.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're dealing with. Or an anti-racist group. And we don't mean the modern anti-racist group that's actually racist. We mean the old definition of anti-racist group. And our whole goal is to battle racism, and you put on well-known racists on to that panel. And so the people that are truly anti-racist quit, and you say, well, they couldn't come to an agreement, and that's why they're the ones that decided to leave because you put racist on the panel.
Yeah. I'm going to try this kind of behavior and in not answering questions with my wife. Did you eat all the Oreos? What I'd like to say about Oreos, and I'm not going to discuss the number of Oreos in a package. That's up to Nabisco. That's not up to me. What I'm going to say is that everyone likes Oreos. I mean, it's, can you imagine? You've got this major agenda. What is there that you're not, if you're a critical thinker, if you're a conservative, you are ready to talk about it at any turn and proud to talk about what you believe in to anyone, any person.
Yeah. Yeah. You can find liberals that will answer a question about what they believe.
They will go around it every single time.
Well, excuse me, under cross-examination.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll sit there and scream out insanity, and then when you bring out and say, you've been screaming this insanity, what did you mean? I meant I'm for freedom in the American way. Well, obviously that's not the case. What did you mean by that? Well, I'm not going to answer that here in this setting.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So
yeah.
We're not going to, well, you know, what you said in this thing was clearly anti-Semitic. Well, what do you have to say about what you said that day? Well, I'm completely against anti-Semitism, and but your statement was anti-Semitic. I'm trying to answer the question, but I'm completely against anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
But your statement was anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And I'm completely against. They will not answer the question.
They won't do it. They won't
be honest. And right there, he's trying to evade anything. How do these people? You know, you think about, Eric, how do they find jobs? I mean, is there a completely different bizarre world mindset that these people get hired? I mean, what is the qualification to get hired as a college president? What the hell is it? After we saw what went on last year, is it? Look, before we hire you, are you completely delusional? Because if you're not completely delusional, I don't think we can use you here.
Yeah. Well, you do have to demonstrate that you're on board with the agenda. I mean, imagine you showed up and said, listen, what I'd like to do is I would like to be the president of a campus where we promote critical thinking, where we are going to work to stop the indoctrination of young minds. No, you have to show up and you have to show that you're going to be one of their warriors. You're going to have to go to work for the cause. You're going to have to go to work for the agenda. That's why you're there. You're going to have to speak the language.
All right, now let's go to Elise Stefanik. You remember her last time with the head of Columbia and more. Here she is at that hearing yesterday.
President Schill, you said there's been a wide range of discipline. After testifying, there have been 0 suspensions, 0 expulsions, and you said discipline has been meted out. How has discipline been meted out?
Discipline has run the gamut. That is the discipline that's already completed. Run the gamut from meetings with student affairs staff at the very lowest level of severity up to disciplinary probation, which means if there is another offense, students will be expelled or suspended.
And you testified when I asked about the Deering Meadows Agreement with the visiting Palestinian faculty members. Isn't it true that the university committed to fundraise above and beyond its current commitment as part of the Deering Meadows Agreement?
I did not commit. I don't know who told you that.
Well, I'm reading it from the statement put out by the university that says, quote, the university commits to fundraise to sustain this program beyond this current commitment, end quote. I'm reading your words put out by your office.
That is a program that is not just about the Middle East. That is a program that is about war-torn areas all across this world.
But
so Ukraine,
isn't it a
for
fact,
example, would be
Isn't
included.
it a fact that was part of the agreement to increase the commitment to that.
I don't think the agreement increased the commitment.
It did. I'm reading it for you. You put this out from your office. Quote, the university commits to fundraise to sustain this program beyond this current commitment. Is that no longer part of the Deering Meadows agreement?
When I hear beyond this commitment,
I'm reading what your office put out.
Are you asking me to interpret what my
no,
office
I'm asking
put out,
you,
or
isn't
are
that
you
the
just
fact?
reading it?
What does beyond this current commitment mean?
What I read that to be is beyond this current commitment, the rest of the world, and over time.
That's not, it's specifically focused on the Palestinian faculty members. Let me ask you this.
But we're also going to be including Israeli faculty members.
It doesn't say that in the
Israeli
commitment. Why didn't you include Israeli faculty members when you put out the Deering Meadows agreement?
Because the Deering Meadows agreement, which actually I never called it that, but the Deering Meadows agreement was just a framework of an agreement that was reached with students at 4 o'clock in the morning.
At the pro-Hamas encampment.
If you would like to see the entire program, go on our website, and that will explain it to you, and you will see.
No, I'm asking you about what the university put out. There is no mention of Israeli students or Israeli faculty. Isn't that the case?
In the agreement that we reached, that there wasn't Israeli students there or Jewish students there.
Because they weren't consulted. Isn't that the fact? Jewish and Israeli students were not consulted.
Jewish and Israeli students were not consulted with
exactly.
respect to
Yield
the
back.
agreement.
Exactly.
And it
Yield
would have been impractical.
My interpretation. Your interpretation?
It's yours.
It's from your office.
Oh, my God.
I read that as, no, you wrote that as. That's you writing that.
Jeez.
Seriously. That's the defiance and the arrogance that's running the top so-called top universities. You're wasting your money. And you're certainly wasting your money now because we've said, and it's really become more and more viral. Show up at an employer and start bragging about, who was it that said, you used to brag about being a Harvard graduate, and show up and brag about being one of these top graduates. And by the way,
wasn't that Seinfeld at Duke?
Yeah, I think it was. No, this is not on the students that are actually doing the work, that are actually doing the studying, and that are looking to take that to, a whole new level. But the problem is that these radicals have destroyed what you worked for if you're one of those students who's not part of the radical agenda. And that's a shame.
Well, the president of Northwestern, if he believes that he can come to an agreement with pro-terrorist Hamas students, he's nuts.
Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I mean, just amazing. You create an anti-Semitism task force on your campus with anti-Semites. Yeah. I mean, it's just the most. It's the and pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist, pro-genocide people, and you can't understand why Congress is upset at you,
right?
Or parents and Jewish students aren't upset at you. Well,
right.
we're trying to be inclusive. Oh, so you're going to have an anti-racist task force with KKK and white Aryan Nation members as a part of it too? I mean,
exactly.
I mean, these people are they're nuts.
This is Red Eye Radio. on Westwood One.